Good evening, everyone. Until today, it looked like the stock market was set to end the week on a high note. But then things suddenly changed after the first hour of trading. Reports of Ukrainian troops attacking Russian convoys spooked investors, and the major stock averages fell sharply. But while worries about a possible Russian invasion pulled down stocks, Treasuries rallied and the yield on the 10-year note fell to its lowest level in a year. By the closing bell, stocks recovered a bit. Here's a rundown of the closing numbers. The Dow lost 50 points, a dramatic rebound from a triple-digit loss earlier in the session. The Nasdaq added 12 points, and the S&P was off a fraction. For the week, all three averages were higher. The Dow rose a fraction, the Nasdaq up 2%, its best weekly gain since May, and the S&P up more than 1%. Over in the bond market, investors turned to safe haven U.S. Treasuries, and the yield on the 10-year fell to 2.34%. Michelle Caruso-Cabrera has more on the latest developments in the Ukraine-Russia conflict.
The markets demonstrated again today that of all the geopolitical concerns out there, the one most worrying to investors is the situation between Russia and Ukraine. And that's because Russia is such a large economy. It's one of the biggest suppliers of energy in the world, and it also has deep trade ties with Western Europe. Every time there is an escalation between Russia and Ukraine, we see the West increase the sanctions against Russia. And while that has hurt the Russian economy as intended, it's also starting to hurt the Western economies, particularly Germany. Already, the Chamber of Commerce in Germany has warned that exports to Russia have declined pretty sharply. It's not a huge part of the German economy, but when we've just seen German GDP come out negative, suggesting that perhaps that country is going into recession, it's one of the last things the Western European economy needs at this point. That's why whenever we see a situation like that which erupted today, we see investors run from stocks and instead buy safe haven plays like the Swiss franc and also U.S. Treasuries. It's also why when we've seen Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, make conciliatory remarks, we've seen the U.S. market rally. It's unclear, though, whether investors are going to continue to believe him if he says those things in the future. For Nightly Business Report, Michelle Caruso-Cabrera.